Hi, this is Jacqueline with Nickel and Dime Decor, and I wanted to show you what my sewing box looks like, and for all of you sewing beginners, what you need in a sewing box. My sewing box is just a container from Walmart, and I know some of you are real organized and you have all your stuff in different areas, but I've tried to put things in my drawers in my sewing machine, and I have another cabinet, but invariably I just don't forget where they are. I have much better luck of keeping everything in one container. Right or wrong, it's what I do. So we're gonna dig in. I have not gone through it, make sure everything's good to go. So we're going to dig in and see what I have in my sewing box. Then you can tell me what you have in your sewing box. This is just a plastic little ruler, but it works good because, you know, as we get older, our eyes, and this has good markings on here for my inch. And when I'm making bowl cozies, I can lay this on there like that and mark it real good. My 2 inches and then my 1 inch over here. It's just a good little marker, and I use that a lot. This goes with my sewing machine, and I've put it places, and then I look and look and look, so it's going to stay in my box. It just gives me all of my stitches and the numbers and what I have what is it called? 360 Bernina. I've had it for quite a few years, and I previously had a Bernina. So there's my chart. This is my Bernina, all of my foots for my machine. I never take them out. I leave them in here, and that way I always know where everything is. My walking foot's in there, all of my feet that go for the sewing machine. Now here's another ruler, but I really don't use this one just real often, but I keep it in there. It has good markings on it and everything. Just, this depends on what you're working on and your preference, I guess. Scissors, scissors, scissors. You never have enough scissors. I have 3 pairs of scissors in there. I have a pair of pinking shears, which, now, I'm thinking that this is going to be seen by new sewers, let's call them sewing newbies. Pinking shears give you an edge like a zigzag. And if you cut a piece of fabric out, it'll keep it from raveling on the edge. And it's really good to use this. It's an underutilized tool, honestly, for sewing. Another tape measure. One of these tape measures was my mother's, and one of them is mine. So there's a tape measure. Now, I always have room for glue sticks. Glue sticks works great when I'm making my coasters, the corded coasters. It's great for, let's say you sewed your hot pad around and you think everything's good to go, and all of a sudden when you turn the binding, it didn't catch somewhere. A lot of sins can be covered with a glue stick, and just glue it down if you don't want to take it apart and redo it. And glue sticks, of course, are necessary in paper piecing. Absolute necessity. Then I have some sharps between for hand quilting. At number 10, I use these. I don't use anything else when I'm hand quilting something. So I always keep them in there so I know where they're at. And I have another, you'd think I didn't know where everything was, but honestly I do know. I have another packet of them that's in a little tube. And then all of my Bernina needles. You never can have too many because, you know, a needle doesn't have a whole lot of lifespan. You think, well, I just made a quilt, I don't need a new needle, but it's surprising how your needles are, they're not long lasting. We might put one in the machine, forget to change, but you'll soon see that it needs a new needle. And these are all of my marking pens. And I've told you about these, I think, before, but we'll do it again. And I think the name is Frixion, Frixion. And I have a red, and I have a blue, and a black. And you can buy these at Walmart, has them. You can buy them at your local quilt shop, or you can buy them in Hobby Lobby and Joann's. And the reason I have 3 different colors is because if you're working on black, nothing works with this red. And these are all, when you put them to mark your fabric, then you just touch a hot iron to it after you've sewn. It's gone. It has never failed me by ruining any of my stuff. So, Frixion. You can also order them online. I have another, I use my big one more than I do this one, because I love the way this feels in my hand, and this is not as reassuring, so I don't use it as much, but I love this one. That's what it is. Another glue stick, but this is not as good as these. These come from paperpieces.com or the lady in, well, I can't even think. They're Sue Daly. She did this one, and this one is Sewline, Sewline. This you just get at Walmart or anywhere. It doesn't hold near as good as these do. Missouri Star Quilt Company. That's where you can order those glue sticks. And you can order the refills that go with them. When you're doing paper piecing or doing your hexagons, and I glue my edges down instead of doing a thread through them, they stay so good. It's really, really good. A latch hook, when you do, I don't really know why that's in there, but I think I kept it because this is such a good tool when you're poking out your corners. An eraser. Do you know an eraser is essential if you have a chalk pen, and you'll need to sharpen it quite often. So I keep this 2 different sizes. I keep it in my sewing box along with my chalk pencil. A pastry brush. A pastry brush because I find that underneath where my bobbin is, that this cleans out good. It gets the lint. And I just keep it in there for that. That's all that I use it for, is just kind of like a lint brush. There's a lot of things that you can use in your sewing that's in your kitchen or other things, and you really don't have to go spend money buying anything. This is from Fons and Porter, and it's a 1/4 inch where you mark on each side and sew down the, cut down the middle, sew on the sides, cut in the middle. It just makes doing a 1/4 inch seam on something so quick and easy. It's from Omni Grid, 1/4 inch. And I had some of these just in here for projects that need to be clamped down. I have these. These are all my little clips, but sometimes they're just not wide enough. Sometimes, see, that's all they spread out. These are those that you put up on the wall to put pictures up and everything. These work really good. You can spread them real far apart. This is another piece of chalk, along with your pencil. There's just so many ways to mark your lines. And I used it on one project. I liked it. I have a lot of little scissors, but I tend to go right to one all the time, and that's my Fiskars. I guess that's how you say it. It's little with the orange handles. These, they work, but this I just collected as a keepsake. Some more of these. Here's just a little, when I made the yellow brick road, I put a bear on the label, and I bought a couple of them in case I goofed up. So there I have a little bear left. This and this. Do you have any idea what this is for? This you set down, and when you make a buttonhole, you put it over this block and press this down just right in the middle between your threads that you just sewed, and that's how you cut your buttonhole. It's with this. You just hit it once with the little tack hammer, and it cuts just right. See the length of that? It's just right for your buttonholes. Now, if your buttonhole is smaller than that, I don't know how you're going to cut them. But that's what this is. Not hardly anybody, probably not many, know what that little set is for, but that's for cutting your buttonholes open after you've sewed them. This is the other needles, and they're size 10 also. Between, they're called Between/Quilting, size 10. And I was having a hard time learning to hand quilt because my thread would pull up the batting. And my sweet, sweet friend that taught me how to hand quilt said, "Hon, you need a size 10 between quilting needle." Once I remedied that situation, I have never, ever used anything else. Now, you know, we always, well, I do, I don't know about you, but we make mistakes. And this is a seam ripper. Hopefully you don't have to use it a whole lot, but you should have one. You are going to make a mistake. That's that's just facts of life. But this is, I have 2 or 3 of them. Here's a tiny little bitty one. And then here's this. Even another one, a smaller one. This size is great for your hexagons, or if you're making any kind of little shape that's small. This way you can just work right around that, and it works great. So you can say I have 3. This, a friend that owns a quilt shop gave this to me, and it's very hard to get apart. It's a magnet, and when you're doing paper piecing and you're sewing your little hexagons or your triangles or whatever it is, you put this back behind what you're working on, and then put this on the other side, and your edges are right there, and it's not going anywhere. If there's anything that you need to hold together, this is it. And it is called Sew Tights, T-I-T-E-S. I bet I don't think Joann's would have it, but any quilt shop, maybe Missouri Star Quilt Company will definitely have them, probably. But it's worth your weight in gold if you use it. And these are my extra for my blades. I think these both are this. These are different sizes. So one goes in this one goes in that one, goes in this one. I have used this one for quite some time. It's probably time to change it, but I'm bad about not changing it until I start fussing about it. So, but that's my refills. And this is another pen, but it threw me for a loop because it's just not quite the same shape. And I thought it was a regular pen at first, but it's a marking pen. And I was scared to use it because I didn't know if it would, come off. But it does. So it's just shaped different, and it looks like a regular pen. Now this is called a thing. T-H-A-N-G. This purple thing is quite the little tool. When you're poking out your corners on anything that you make, hot pad, placemats, pillowcase, anything that you're making, this works like a charm. And this, you go around all the edges in between and smooth out your seam. Especially if you're doing a round something, you just follow this thing around and it makes your seams go out better. And then you can iron them flat. But a purple thing, and I don't know where you can get it except at a quilt place. I don't think. What's her name? Quilting Today, Eleanor, is that her name? You can get it there, quiltingtoday.com. Missouri Star Quilt, maybe even Shabby Fabrics. I don't know if they do or not. But I know any local quilt shop probably has them. And we're just about it. There's some more needles. Now I have a thimble. And do you know, in all of my hand quilting, I cannot for the life of me do it with a thimble on my finger. I have to just let my finger and my thumb get calloused while I'm doing it. I have to push the needle through with this finger a lot, and I just feel so awkward with a thimble on my hand. I have one, but I don't use it. And this little thing, I don't know where it came from, and I don't know what it is, what it was originally used for, but I use it a lot. There again, to poke out your seams, especially like if you were making oval placemats, to get those out. This works like a charm. And then it has a flat edge on this side. And you tell me, I don't know what it was originally for, but I use it all the time for my sewing. And I had a whole roll of this, but I've used it all up. This is that real strong, heavy-duty tape that you can put on your machine to mark your 1/4 inch seam all the way down. And I did that, and it comes in different widths. And you just peel one side off and stick the other side on. It's good for lots of things. It comes in rolls. Another ruler that's just a perfect little size. I'll always never be ruler poor, that's for sure. And I just want to show you one more thing. Here's another piece of chalk that comes like that, and I've used it too. And the reason I don't use chalk though very much is I don't like the residue. It says to get a wet washcloth and just wipe it off, but I've seen it leave residue. This I'd cut out and just made me a piece of cardboard. And I know you probably can't tell what this is for, but this is a 1/4 inch seam and then another 1/4 inch seam marked. And I use that when I want to do a hem. When I want to, I look at it and visually know then how to turn my hem. I do it on napkins. You just put your fabric to the edge and turn it 1/4 and turn it again. It's done. So that's what that's for. And some more needles, hand quilting needles. And this rest of this stuff is just stuff. Oh, I want to show you. This is my mother's. She was an excellent knitter and could make anything. And there again, I use it for doing my corners. And probably I have it in there just so I think of my mother when I see it. So that's all of my goodies. Now, I'm going to put the camera down. Well, I'll just tell you first how much I enjoyed your visit. And forever little sewing newbie, you now know things that you need in your sewing box. And I hope I've helped you. I hope that you learned what these things are for and what you can do with them. And I know everybody's sewing box is not the same. You have things that if you have a good supply, it's what you want and it's what you like. This is an idea for people that don't know where to start, what they need if they're starting out new. So, thank you again for coming, and now I'm going to put my camera down on all of my stuff, and we'll get a quick look, and then thank you. You have a blessed day. There it is. All of that in my box, plus a little more that I didn't show you. Thank you again. God bless.